Hey, do you remember those three monkeys, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil? Well, we're going to be talking about hear no evil. Good morning, this is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and you're listening to Coffee with Kris, the time of the day where we share a cup of coffee and share a bit of the Word of God. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday morning for a hot cup of coffee and a hot cup of the Word of God. We are in Vayeshev, which means he lived, and that's our Torah portion for this week. The Sidra, the Aliyah for today, is chapter 37 of Genesis, verse 23, all the way to verse 36. But I want to focus in on verse 23. Verse 23 reads, "So as soon as Joseph came up to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the long-sleeved tunic that he had on." All right, it was going down. It was happening. The brothers just dogpiled and tackled Joseph. They were so sick of his conceited smugness, they stripped him of his clothes, and at least Reuben talked him out of killing him, so they ended up throwing him in a well. We all know what happened after that. They ended up selling him into slavery in Egypt. So as soon as Joseph came up to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the long-sleeved tunic that he had on. Now, after they threw him in the pit, what does it say that happened? They kind of sat down to eat their meal, right? They were within earshot of that dry cistern they threw him in. So they heard him whining and crying and begging for mercy and to let him out and not to do this. And they ignored his cries and just ate their meal like nothing happened. Now, fast forward. Well, not fast forward, but let's go to Proverbs chapter 21, verse 13, which says, "Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out, but not be answered." If we ignore people that are in need, and it's within our power to help them out in some way, shape, or form, and we don't do it, then when we're in need, nobody's going to listen to us when we cry out for help. So here, Joseph's brothers were hearing Joseph cry out for help, and they didn't do a blessed thing. They had so much hatred in their heart, and their heart was so cold and callous, they ignored his desperate cries. Fast forward to Genesis chapter 42, and let's read verses 21 and 22. So this is when Joseph was the viceroy of Egypt. His brothers didn't recognize him. He's putting the screws to him, and they're feeling the pressure. Then it says in verse 21, that each man said to his brother, We're truly guilty for our brother. We saw his distress and his soul when he was begging us for mercy, but we didn't listen. That's why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them and said, "Didn't I tell you? Don't sin against the boy? But you didn't listen. Now see how his blood is being now on being accounted for because of us." Wow. So Reuben was basically saying, look, I told you so. Don't say, don't tell you that I didn't say anything. I told you so. Now I'm saying I told you so. Look how bad this is. We're guilty because we shut our ears to the cry of our brother Joseph, and we sold him into slavery, and now God's getting us back for that. So basically, the gist of this devotional today is, do everything in your power to help the innocent who are suffering and being treated unfairly. This is the true meaning of biblical social justice. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Shalom and God bless.